probably has schizophrenia if he's seeing things. Okay. Oh, hi there. I'm Amia Renee, and this is Psychology 101. Today we'll be discussing attitudes, attributions, and actions. Social psychology is the field of how we think about, influence, and relate to one another. Social psychologists aim to understand why people want to act differently given a new situation. A lot of the time we look for explanations to explain why people do the things that they do. We attribute the behavior to different things. For Titus theory, the attribution theory reveals two types of attributions, dispositional and situational. With the dispositional attribution, we can attribute the behavior to the person's stable, enduring personality traits. Or we can attribute the behavior to the situation. For example, Ruby rarely volunteers in class, and she sits alone at football games. We can attribute her timid personality to just being a part of her character. That's who she is. However, we can also look at the fact that in both settings, Ruby is surrounded by people whom she may not feel comfortable around. Then we may attribute her uncomfort to the situation. She probably doesn't like to be around so many people at once. But a lot of the times, we overestimate the influence of personality and underestimate the influence the situation has. That is just something we sometimes fall prey to, the fundamental attribution error. David Napolitan and George Goldfuss demonstrated this error in an interesting experiment in which students talked one at a time with a young woman who acted either warm or friendly or harshly cold. Preceding the talks, researchers told half of the students that the woman would be really nice. The other half was told the truth, that the woman was being instructed to act mean towards them. Of course, that truth did not mean a thing, as those students walked away thinking that she was truly a mean person. We often make that mistake, but it's important not to try to assume so quickly. Try to get to know a person better instead of prejudging, because our attributions toward a person's disposition or situation can have true consequences. Now let's flip the table and think about if what you're doing can affect what others think about you. Does what we think affect what we do, or does what we do affect what we think? Well, since our attitude plays a major role in both positions, let's define what an attitude is. Attitudes are feelings that predispose our beliefs towards objects, peoples, or events. A lot of the times when trying to convince people to do things that you want them to do, you take into account their attitude first. We want to attempt to change their attitude, which will affect their thoughts, which in turn will affect their actions and decisions. That's why commercials will have a beautiful woman next to an expensive car. They think that the woman will have an effect on their decision. That subliminal messaging is a part of the peripheral route to persuasion. It doesn't engage systematic thinking, but it does produce fast results as people respond to incidental cues. Think about a scenario in which you have fallen to a central route to persuasion. Has someone ever tried to convince you by using all their smarts and all the logistics? Or maybe someone has tried to convince you, keeping in mind that our attitudes can affect our actions. Another type of persuasion is foot in the door phenomenon, which first allows someone to comply to a small request and then a larger request. Thank you for tuning in to Psychology 101. I am Amia Renee, and until then,